Hello, my name is Steve Dutton. I retired and moved to Miami 8 years ago, and I live downtown in the urban core of our city. Like many other residents, I've become increasingly concerned about a situation that is worsening in our city and one that we believe needs more help. I'm speaking about the number of unsheltered and unserved homeless persons living in our streets. My career included working as CEO of a nonprofit in Fort Worth, Texas, that was focused on the very same issues confronting our city today. And I hope to become a catalyst to changing how we are responding so the number of unsheltered and unserved persons begins to decline. While the police have a primary responsibility to intervene in situations involving public safety, number one, they have limited information about vagrants and other homeless living on our streets. Two, they must offer persons a shelter bed before taking further action unless an actual crime has been observed, but the existence of available beds is difficult to confirm. Number three, they're often called upon to clean up where street feedings have taken place by churches and other well-intentioned groups. These are just some examples of problems that take too many department hours to handle. What follows is a video for you to watch that helps demonstrate how other cities have begun to change their situations. Yes, may have started out even worse off than Miami's. But now is the time for us to change our situation before it worsens. I hope you'll be interested to learn more and look forward to your reply. While it's true, other cities in America fare even worse in combating homelessness, our terrific location and good weather will assure a worsening of our situation unless more is done. Compared to other cities with tens of thousands of unsheltered homeless living on the streets, we currently only have 1,000 unsheltered homeless persons in our city, and most of them are in downtown. With the technology now available for us to use, I am convinced we must change how we view our situation. It starts by remembering they aren't a different people. They are us, except their lives have included circumstances leading them to be homeless and living on the streets. This has prompted us to advocate for a pilot project named appropriately 1,000 Miami Stories. It started when I met Merlin, who was sleeping outside the AT&T store on Southeast First, next to Southeast 3rd Avenue, next to the Starbucks. And every morning he awakened and I would smile at him as I greeted him. Hello. He never asked me for anything. And so one day I struck up a conversation. I learned he had moved to Miami with his mom, who recently passed, but he had skills on an iPad creating anime drawings. He was artistic. I helped him get his driver's license reinstated, and I'm happy today he's employed and living in an apartment again. Or Victoria, who I spotted most mornings outside my home at Biscayne. I learned she came to Miami from Havana in 1963, and because of a failed marriage and the tragic death of her young daughter from a gun shooting years before, she ended up on the streets. I connected her to Lotus House, a shelter for women, and I hope the success I saw happen last year is continuing. Or Sean. Here, let me play this short video of our conversation.
Hey, Sean.
Hey,
What was the most emotional moment you remember when you became homeless?
the most emotional was when I couldn't go home for Thanksgiving for whatever reason, and like that took a toll on me because like, it's like, wow, that's like the one day I wish I could go home. But yeah, I couldn't. It was pretty bad.
Okay. What is your story? Why did you become homeless?
Also, it came down to bad decisions. I lost my job recently. I was at Whole Foods, but I'm not there no more, unfortunately. I was in school. I lost my financial aid. That's what also led to my recent homelessness because I used it for housing. And like I said, just bad choices or bad decisions.
What did you do at Whole Foods?
I was the barista there.
Did you enjoy that?
Yes, I loved it.
You loved it?
Yeah.
You got to meet all kinds of folks.
Yeah, and I just love making coffee too.
Well, people who see this video, what do you want them to know? What would you want them to do?
Mostly not judge everyone, like not put them all under one category. To care for us, because we're all human too. And hopefully we can provide more resources to help the homeless people, like a day shelter or anything that could just help us to get move forward.
Thank you, Sean.
I'm happy to say that Sean's a work in progress. I've been friends now for about 3 or 4 months. And recently we were interviewed on Channel 10, he and I. And I was so proud watching that interview with him dressed in a white shirt, cleaned up. And he's really proud of his ability as a photographer. So he's been helping me film video of other persons who are in a similar situation for the new pilot program, 1000 Miami Stories. He's a bright young guy. But what are all the issues that really the community is confronting regarding homelessness? We've all felt the unsafe feeling walking on downtown streets, especially after dark. And we've seen how dirty the sidewalks become from persons sleeping in the doorways of stores and alongside the buildings in downtown. How garbage gathers after well-intentioned feedings by churches and other groups that aren't being cleaned up afterwards. Instead, it requires the city police department or firemen to come conduct cleanup sweeps at great expense to the taxpayers. Health and sanitation are more at risk for everyone, but the real impact is the economic one. On businesses that suffer the consequence of there not being enough being done to reduce the number of unserved, unsheltered persons on our streets. And in our opinion, we can do better. A vital neighborhood begins when we realize everyone must become involved, and there are many untapped resources we've identified that aren't being used. I recently attended a week's evening training class at the Miami Police Department's Citizen Police Academy in downtown, and I recommend you check it out. The poster shows the class started again this week, but again next month and the following month, the dates and how to apply. Today's abundance of new apps includes specific ones I know which would help our situation. They're already in use in other cities with worse numbers than Miami has. Imagine, if we were on the West Coast in San Francisco, they have such a huge problem with almost 50,000 unsheltered, unserved persons on the street. Seattle with 20,000, LA, New York, Chicago. Our numbers are only 1,000. Imagine what we are on the verge of accomplishing if we merely focus on having the means to communicate more effectively between all stakeholders. I'm excited about working with Thriving Minds, which is a new entity that has promised to work with Judge Stephen Leifman, who's he's the county judge in charge of our mental health division. He's been hard at work for years to retrofit and reopen an old hospital in the Alapata area. I've toured it several times. I'm going to take another tour soon, I hope. It's going to be ready to open next spring. It'll be amazing because it'll be one place that persons with suffering from mental illness will be able to go to receive the help they need immediately, to even lead to housing opportunities for them. So it's pretty exciting. But imagine, look at this chart and look around the circle at all the stakeholders. Today, they don't have a means of communicating real time. They don't have a means of being able to build the information database we need to reduce the number of persons that are being unserved on the street. Outreach Grid is such an app. It's being used. I learned about it in Fort Worth, Texas, of all places, where I'd moved from. I'm so proud to report that Fort Worth, which is a larger city than Miami, believe it or not, almost 1 million people now, their numbers have dwindled to like on one hand. They have pretty much eliminated unserved homeless. There are no homeless downtown if you go to Fort Worth, Texas. And one reason simply is by using a product like Outreach Grid. They've been able to centralize all the information in such a way that everyone benefits and everyone's ideas come to the forefront. We need that here.